In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up the WAMP web stack from scratch. That's Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And we'll be doing it on a fresh Windows installation so that you can follow along from scratch. Since we've already got Windows installed, our first step will be to set up Apache, which is the A in the WAMP. So Apache is the web server that everything else will run on. And the first thing that you'll need to do is go to apachelounge.com, which is the official Apache provider, and then go to downloads. Apache is going to need Visual Studio in order to be installed, so you'll have to download this link first if you have 64-bit Windows, or this one if you have 32-bit Windows. You can really quickly check which version you have by going to your File Explorer, right-clicking on this PC, and then in here it says system type, and this one is a 64-bit operating system. If yours is a 32-bit, you'll come back here and click this one. If yours is a 64-bit like mine, you'll click this. Once you click it, it'll install this exe for Visual Studio. Click that. Agree to the terms. If it asks you about admin access, click yes, and then close that. So now we're done with that Visual Studio, which Apache I think needs for C++ support, but you don't have to worry about that anymore now that you got that installed. It's just a necessary step to do first. So it's important that we checked what version of Windows we had as well, because for me, I'm going to want the Windows 64-bit version right here under the Apache 2.4 binaries. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. Once the download is complete, go to your downloads in your web browser and click the zip file. And what we're going to want to do is extract them all to our C drive. So click extract all, which is the button right there, and then browse. And we're just going to go put that right in our C drive right here. And this will save us a step later, so just go ahead and put it in your C drive. It should look like that if you just click C and then click select folder and then click extract. If it asks you for admin access, just click continue. And if it keeps asking you, click do this for all current items and click continue. So now we've put the Apache server in our C drive, but we need to actually install Apache as a service. To install Apache as a service, we're going to need to pull up the command prompt. So type in cmd in the Windows search, and then right click on command prompt and run as administrator. Now we're going to navigate to the directory where we've put Apache. So in the command prompt type cd and then C:\\Apache 24/bin, and then press enter. So what that's done is it has just pointed our command prompt into this directory right here, and we're going to be running this file, and you see it says Apache HTTP server. We're going to actually install this service. So now that command prompt is pointed to that, we can do httpd.exe-k install. And you should get a pop-up like this asking for admin access, and just go ahead and allow. Now we'll do httpd.exe-k start. And this will start the service. So now we should be able to see it in our Windows services. So go to your start menu, type in services, and here's Apache 2.4, and it's running. So now we could like stop the service if we wanted or restart it. And just to verify that the server is actually running, we can go to a web browser and go to 127.0.0.1, which is just your default local directory. So this isn't hosted online. Right now it's just on your local network, but the server is taking requests. So whenever you hit the IP address, the local one of the server, it replies with a message that says it works. And in case you're wondering where like this came from, this HTML right here that says it works, this just comes by default in the Apache install, and your HTML files would be found in htdocs here. So if you click in here, you'll see a file called index, and it's actually index.html. I just don't have these extensions turned on my test server. So it's .html there, and you can edit this with Notepad or Notepad++ or any editor of your preference, and you can see it here. And I'll say hello from Flavor of the Month, and you can refresh this page and immediately see those changes. So this is pretty cool because now we're at like a super simple stage where we just have a locally hosted web server and it's taking requests and the HTML is working properly. Next we'll get into all the steps about installing PHP, which is like the programming language to do a lot more complicated functions, like allowing people to make user accounts and logins and posts. And then we'll also do MySQL, which will store all of that data. And we'll sync all that up right into this same Apache server right here. Let's go ahead and start installing PHP. So we'll just go to Google and type in PHP, and we'll go to the official PHP website, and we're gonna go find the version that we want to use. Let's go ahead and start with a more modern version of PHP as of the time of making this video, which is in 2024, and we'll go to Windows downloads. So all we did is went to php.net, went to downloads, which is this link right here, and go to Windows downloads. And actually you should note that this says current stable version. This means it's like a stable, working, tested, released version of PHP. Now we're back to deciding what version we need. So if you're on 64-bit, get that version, or if you're on 32-bit, get the x86 version. So since this tutorial is using the 64-bit version of Windows, we're going to get the thread safe version right here, x64. If you're on a 32-bit computer, get the x32 thread safe, or x86 thread safe. This is the one for 32-bit on Windows, and download the zip. So I just clicked this one and now it's downloading. Once that's done downloading, go to your downloads folder and click on the new php.zip folder, and we're going to want to extract all, and then we're going to browse and go to our C drive. And this is important, make sure you create, like, right click in here in a white blank space and click new folder, and let's call it PHP, and then we're going to click into PHP. Make sure you do that, because otherwise all this stuff is going to extract out into your C drive and it's just going to be a mess. So we made a folder on the C drive, we're dropping it into that folder, and we're going to click extract. Now that that's done extracting, it'll be in your PHP folder. So just go ahead and close out of the other zip window, otherwise that might get confusing. And we've got all these files in here for PHP. So scroll down and find PHP ini-development. Right click on it and say rename, and we're just going to change it to PHP ini. This is just a little housekeeping step, and this will be our configuration file. Now we're going to edit that configuration file. So just right click on it, and if you've got Open With and Notepad++ or a better editor, do that. But I'm just going to open it in Notepad, just the regular one, and then I'm going to go find the extension directory. So just do Control F, extension d_dir, and change this to :/php/ext. And you'll note this is the directory that we just made. So we're telling this PHP install where it is, basically, just because this is a default file that comes with PHP. You have to tell it where you put it. So we're going to take away the semicolon as well. So the semicolon just comments out the line. So now we're just turning on this thing that tells PHP where the extension directory is, and we're doing that within the PHP config file. So go ahead and save that and close it. Now we're going to want to tell our server that we've got PHP and where it is. So we're going to go into our Apache folder again, which is our web server, and we're going to go into the configuration file. So go into Apache 24 and then conf, and find this httpd.conf file and open it with an editor. Scroll down to the bottom of your file, and I'll put this in the chat or in the video description, and just copy paste this into the bottom of your httpd.conf file. PHP will be loaded by this load module here, and this will point to where we just put PHP. So this way Apache knows that we're trying to load this module. And then next we have to go to directory index, just do a search for that or scroll up till you find it. And we're going to change this directory index to .php. So now we'll be using an index.php file instead of .html. Save that, close it, and then pull up your services window. If you don't still have that, go to Windows Search and type in services, and then click Start. Or if yours is already running, just click Restart. It'll do the same thing. And if you don't have any errors up to this point, it should work. If you do have errors, just go look at your HTTPD file and make sure you copy and pasted this properly to the bottom of it, and make sure like you have the PHP 8 version that we just installed. So if you're following along, everything should be identical. And make sure you change that directory index to .php, and it looks exactly like this. Next, we're going to check and see if PHP is working. So we're going to go to our Apache folder, go to htdocs, and then we're going to edit this index file. To edit the file type, just go to your start menu and type in File Explore Options and click that one. Then go to the View tab and uncheck Hide Extensions for known file types, and that will unhide the extension there. So then rename that to index.php and click yes. Then we're going to go in and edit the file, and I'll put this in the description. This is just PHP is echoing out the HTML that we had before, and you can just type in PHP is working, or just copy this from the description. Save it and close it, and go back to your web server and refresh the page, and it will show up with the PHP is working tag that we changed in there. Now we're going to set up MySQL for the server. So the first thing you're going to need to do is go to your web browser and search for MySQL community. Then click on the downloads version. And here you're going to see a bunch of different versions of MySQL community. Click the MySQL installer for Windows and get the larger one. You'll see this is 306 megabytes. So click download on that. And then you don't have to make an account, just click no thanks, just start my download. Once it's done installing, just go ahead and click on that, or go to your downloads folder and find the file and click on it. It'll ask you if you want to run it. Click yes. What we're going to do here is a custom install, because we don't need everything that comes with this. So click custom, click next, and we're going to want to get MySQL server. So just click on that and then click the arrow. You might have to expand this. So this will get us MySQL server 8. In here would just be applications, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Just click next, and we're going to go ahead and install it. So click execute. Once it's done installing, click next, and click next again. All these settings are fine. This is just asking about what you want to call it and what port you want it to be on. 3306 is standard. You don't have to worry about any of the rest of that, so just click next. Use strong password encryption. You should be using that. and then set your MySQL password. I suggest doing it to something you'll remember, but just for this tutorial, I'll just set it to password. And you can add users right now, but you don't have to, because this is going to set up an admin account for us. We can add users later. This is just asking us what we want it to be called for Windows. I'll show you more about that in a minute. So this will just be MySQL 80. That way we know what version it is. That's fine. And we can just use standard system account. I would grant full access to your local computer. So just click yes. And then whenever you click execute, this will go ahead and actually install MySQL server on your computer. Once that's done, click finish. And then it'll give you the options to configure it. You don't have to do anything, just click next and finish. And we can check if the server is live by going to Windows Start and typing in services. Then click on services. And then in here, you can see like our Apache server we did before. But if you scroll down, you will see MySQL 80. So this is how you know the service for MySQL is running. You can of course start and stop it, which will just turn the server off and on. And then next we have to tell PHP how to find our MySQL server. So I'll show you how to set that up next. Now that MySQL is installed, let's tell PHP to enable it. So I'm just going to open a new window by clicking in this folder and pressing Control N, or you can just navigate to it, whatever works for you. So our PHP is stored in the C drive. So go to your PHP folder and scroll down until you find php.ini. Click on that, or just right click it and edit it with Notepad. Here we go. Okay, so about halfway down the file, you're going to want to find the area where MySQLi is disabled. So to enable it, just get rid of that semicolon there, and then do the same thing for extension PDO MySQL. So if you can't find it, just do Control F and type in extension equals MySQLi, and do this one down here in this section of these extensions. So make sure you got extension MySQLi and extension PDO MySQL. Go ahead and save that, close out of it. Now go back to your services and go find Apache and restart that. Once that's done restarting, we'll need to check and see if PHP is able to connect to MySQL. So unfortunately there are a few more steps to this. So let's go install something where we can connect to our database. You could use HeidiSQL, dbeaver, or MySQL Workbench. Any of those are fine. I like dbeaver because it's free and it's used by a bunch of companies I've worked for. So go ahead and get the Windows installer on that web page. And what we're going to do is this will just allow us to connect into our database. Open dbeaver when it's done and just follow the regular prompts in here. Doesn't really matter where you install it. Once it's done installing, you can find it by going to your start menu and just typing in dbeaver. Then go ahead and click on that. When it opens up, it might ask you if you want to create a test database or a demo database. Just don't do that. You can just close out of that. And then what you can do is come over here and do database, new database connection. We're going to do MySQL. Click next. And then this is the details for logging into your database. So type in whatever password you set up earlier. Mine was just password. And then in here, this is just a random thing. Do allow public key retrieval true. Depending on what platform you're using, you might not have to do that, but in dbeaver you do. And then click finish. So now you'll see we got a little check mark here and we're able to connect into our MySQL server. And we don't really have any databases. So right click on database, create new database, and we'll just do test_database, and then click OK. So now we've got a database here, and it doesn't have any tables. So we're going to make a MySQL table. Right click on tables and do create new table, and we're just going to call it test_table. And we can just add some columns. Let's add one column. Column 1 is fine, varchar is fine. Doesn't really matter. And then click save, and then click execute. So this is just going to run some SQL that makes the table. So now we have a database and we have a table, and we can test PHP to see if it can connect to our database. So let's make a simple test script for PHP and see if it allows us to connect. And what we'll need to go do is go to our server, which is in Apache, and then htdocs is where our files currently are stored. And let's make a new text document called MySQL test.php. If it asks you if you want to change it, just say yes, because we're changing the file type. Open that up, and I will put this in the description of the video, this test script. So copy it in from the description, or you can just type it out. Once you've pasted it in, just go ahead and update these values. So these are the values for connecting in the server, just like we did in dbeaver a minute ago. So your username will be root, your password will be password, or whatever you set it to. The database we made was called test database, test_database. Test_database. And then down here in the query, we're going to do test_table. So now this all matches what's in here. And go ahead and save that. One more final thing we have to do is our column is called column 1. So let's just make it match what our database is. So I will paste exactly this into the test, or into the description of the tutorial, so that you can copy paste it in. Assuming you followed everything exactly the same, it should work. Now what you can do is go to your server, which is at 127.0.0.1 for our local host, and then mysql-test.php, I believe is what we named the file, and just click enter. So now it says new record created successfully. So whenever we go to this script, it runs this right here, and then if we right click and refresh our table, we can see the value we entered, which is example value 1. Thanks for watching, and I hope this tutorial helped you successfully set up your WAMP server, which is Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments, and as a community we can try to answer them, and I'll pin any useful advice if anybody had any issues. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll have a lot more tutorials to follow. Thanks for watching.